When you picture the Amish, you probably see a horse-drawn buggy, a man with a beard, or a woman in a prayer covering. But say the word Mennonite, and the image isn't so clear. Are they plain like the Amish? Do they use cars? Or are they just like everyone else? Today, we're diving deep into the shared roots and surprising differences between the Amish and the Mennonites, and by the end, you'll know why these two groups, though cousins in faith, live such different lives. When most people hear the word Amish, a single picture comes to mind. Plain clothes, horse-drawn buggies, bearded men, women with prayer coverings, and communities that live with minimal technology. The word is almost a shorthand for a very specific lifestyle. But when people hear the word Mennonite, the image isn't nearly as clear. A Mennonite might look like a neighbor who drives a car, uses the internet, and wears modern clothes, blending seamlessly into the mainstream world. Or a Mennonite might look very much like the Amish, driving a horse and buggy, wearing plain garb, and speaking Pennsylvania German. That range can make it tricky to answer the question, what's the difference between Amish and Mennonites? To begin answering that, we need to step back into history. Both Amish and Mennonites trace their roots to the Anabaptist movement, which began in Switzerland in 1525. The Anabaptists were radical for their time. They believed baptism should be a freely chosen act of faith, undertaken by adults rather than infants. This belief challenged the state churches of Europe, where baptism of infants was compulsory, and it earned the Anabaptists fierce persecution. Many were jailed, tortured, or executed. Their gatherings were outlawed. And yet, their determination to live out a voluntary faith drove them underground, where small groups met in homes and barns to worship. That survival instinct, worshiping in secrecy, separating from the wider culture, and enduring hardship, shaped the DNA of both the Amish and the Mennonites. Out of this turbulent soil came leaders who gave shape to the emerging movement. Menno Simons, a former Catholic priest from the Netherlands, became a prominent voice for the Anabaptists in the 1500s. His followers came to be known as Mennonites. A century later, in 1693, a split occurred within the Mennonites themselves. A leader named Jacob Ammon insisted on stricter discipline, especially the practice of shunning those who broke church rules. His followers became known as the Amish. So while the two groups share the same roots, the Amish chose a narrower and more traditional path, while the Mennonites eventually branched into a wider spectrum of practices. That branching explains the contrast we see today. Amish groups, though diverse in their own right, fall within a narrower range. You'll hear terms like Old Order, New Order, or Beachy Amish, but all are recognizable as Amish. Mennonites, by contrast, span everything from conservative, horse-and-buggy driving communities to urban professionals indistinguishable from other Protestants. When someone says Amish, you know what lifestyle they mean. When someone says Mennonite, you have to ask, which kind? The Old Order Mennonites are among the most similar to the Amish. They use horse-drawn transportation, wear plain clothing, and speak Pennsylvania German, often called Pennsylvania Dutch. In Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, Amish and Old Order Mennonites live side by side. Their buggies reveal subtle distinctions. Amish buggies are gray, while Old Order Mennonite buggies are black. Amish men grow beards after marriage, while most Old Order Mennonite men remain clean-shaven, though a few groups permit beards. Women in both groups wear prayer coverings, but the style and cut of dresses differ slightly. Despite these outward variations, their daily rhythms often overlap. Both farm the land, operate small businesses, and maintain tight-knit family life. In fact, in places like Lancaster, Amish and Old Order Mennonites sometimes share schools, attend joint auctions, and even play recreational games like cornerball, a dodgeball-style contest with enthusiastic crowds drawn from both communities. But worship sets them apart. Amish services are held every other Sunday in homes or barns, rotating among families. There is no central church building. By contrast, Old Order Mennonites meet in plain but permanent meeting houses. Leadership structures differ too. Amish church districts are small, around 25 to 35 families, each with its own bishop, ministers, and deacon. Old Order Mennonites vest more authority in fewer leaders, centralizing oversight across multiple congregations. These structural differences shape how each community makes decisions. For the Amish, the Ordnung, the unwritten code of rules, guides daily life, varying from district to district. For For Mennonites, especially in more centralized groups, decisions may be standardized more broadly. Another Mennonite branch worth noting is the Old Colony Mennonites. They are found mostly in Mexico, with communities in Belize, Canada, and across Latin America. They speak Plattdeutsch, a Low German dialect, rather than Pennsylvania German. Some Old Colony Mennonites use cars, while others rely on horse-drawn vehicles. They wear distinct styles of plain clothing and, like the Amish, limit technology. Poverty is widespread in these settlements. For decades, Amish from Ohio and Pennsylvania have traveled south to help teach in Old Colony schools, creating fascinating cross-cultural exchanges between cousins separated by geography but united by faith and tradition. When we compare Amish and Mennonites more broadly, lifestyle differences emerge beyond transportation and clothing. Education is one of the clearest lines. Amish schooling stops at 8th grade, with an emphasis on practical learning, reading, writing, arithmetic, and vocational skills suited to community life. Higher education is discouraged since it could lead young people away from Amish ways. Mennonites, by contrast, vary widely. Conservative Mennonites may still keep education simple, but many modern Mennonites encourage higher learning. Today, there are Mennonite universities, Mennonite professors, and professionals in medicine, law, and science. That educational openness has made Mennonites more globally engaged, especially through mission work. Mennonite churches operate hospitals, schools, and relief agencies worldwide, reflecting a broader outward-facing orientation than the Amish, who remain focused inward on preserving community life. Technology is another area of divergence. Amish rules forbid public grid electricity in homes, television, and internet, though small-scale solar panels or battery-powered lights may be allowed depending on the district. Automobiles are prohibited, though Amish hire taxis to travel long distances. Mennonites range from similar restrictions in conservative groups to full embrace of modern technology in progressive congregations. A Mennonite doctor may use advanced medical equipment by day and preach in church on Sunday, something unimaginable in Amish life. This range explains why Mennonites can be both nearly indistinguishable from the Amish and yet indistinguishable from mainstream society. Economics also highlight differences. Amish communities are known for small-scale farming, carpentry, and cottage industries. Their economy is intentionally modest, designed to sustain community life rather than maximize wealth. Mennonites participate in similar small businesses in conservative groups, but modern Mennonites operate within the broader global economy, working in corporations, higher education, and professional sectors. At the same time, both Amish and Mennonites emphasize mutual aid. When a barn burns down, neighbors arrive to rebuild. When disaster strikes elsewhere, Mennonite Central Committee, MCC, is often among the first relief agencies on the ground, reflecting centuries of commitment to service and peace. Culturally, Amish and Mennonites share a suspicion of worldliness but apply it differently. Amish separation is visible and uniform: plain dress, horse-and-buggy life, and strict boundaries with outsiders. Mennonites interpret separation in diverse ways. Conservative Mennonites maintain distinctive clothing and modest lifestyles. Progressive Mennonites may blend into mainstream society but express separation through pacifism, simple living, or social justice. The guiding principle is the same: faith lived apart from worldly corruption, but the applications diverge dramatically. All of this brings us back to the original question: what's the difference between Amish and Mennonites? The simplest answer is that Amish represent a narrower, more uniform expression of Anabaptist tradition, while Mennonites encompass a far broader spectrum. Today, there are over 2 million Mennonites worldwide, with congregations in North America, Africa, Asia, Europe, and beyond. Amish, by contrast, number only in the hundreds of thousands, concentrated mostly in the United States, with smaller communities in Canada and South America. Both groups, however, remain bound by the same radical DNA: adult baptism, discipleship, community, and humility. And so, while Amish and Mennonites may drive different vehicles, worship in different buildings, or pursue different levels of education, they remain cousins in faith. Outsiders may struggle to tell them apart, and even insiders admit the lines can blur. But whether it's children laughing together in a Lancaster schoolhouse, Amish teachers helping Old Colony Mennonites in Mexico, or Mennonite aid workers serving in far-off countries, the shared roots still show. That's the real story. Two branches of the same tree, growing in different directions, yet drawing life from the same soil. So the next time someone asks you about the difference between Amish and Mennonites, you'll know it's not a simple answer. One is a narrow, uniform tradition, the other a worldwide family with endless variety. But both are rooted in the same Anabaptist faith, the same story of persecution, resilience, and devotion. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history and culture, don't forget to subscribe. We've got more stories coming that reveal the hidden world of Amish and Mennonite life. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.